Once again, welcome to the Unshakable Foundation meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. This is a main share meeting, and today it's with great pleasure and much gratitude that we welcome Rodney R., who's come along to share on the topic of living in the now for up to 40 minutes, after which we will open up for the Q&A portion of the meeting. Rodney, it's over to you. Thank you.
Good evening to you folks across the pond, and early evening, afternoon for us folks here in the States, wherever we may be, and to my big head sister here that's here as well. Yeah, put your tongue in your mouth, girl. My name's Rodney. I'm a grateful arrested alcoholic, and it's really truly only by the grace of God that I'm here. I'm sober and a part of the sacred fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I say that I was arrested because you guys were not the last house on the block. I wasn't sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I had no thoughts about getting sober. Didn't know I was alcoholic. Didn't know there was a problem centering around my thinking and yada, yada, yada. So I didn't come to y'all thinking that I was going to stop drinking, and didn't think I would still be here. And but you all put some handcuffs on me through the help of God, and I've held onto my seat. I've got a sobriety date of June 28th, 2014. And as I mentioned, I had no clue that June 27th was going to be my last night drinking. But I guess the way that I drank, maybe I did know, because it was a doozy, and I'll get to some of that. Thank you, Young, for getting me here. I know you and I have gone back and forth, trying to wrangle me down, trying to wrangle you down, and to do the deal, and I'm here. And to all the folks behind the scenes, keeping us safe, keeping us organized, living by the traditions, so that we can come together and do what we do. As I mentioned, I had no idea that I was an alcoholic, although I lived with one, could clearly identify from what I knew of what an alcoholic was. And back in my days here in the States, we just, where I come from, we just called them drunks. We weren't sophisticated enough to call them alcoholics. They were just drunks, winos or drunks. I did not put that tab on me whatsoever because I didn't know. And a big piece of my story is that I didn't know what I didn't know, but yet I'm a know-it-all. I knew everything before it came out of your mouth. I was going to shape it up and flip it up and rub it down like BBD and make it look pretty and sound pretty and do all this stuff. But I really didn't know my head from a hole in the ground until I ran into you guys about anything. So give you a little bit about my story and this living in the now. I don't know where that's going to go. I had a couple things in my head, and Young was beating me up about a topic, and I just began to think and say, listen, from my experience and from what I read, we do what we do so that we can live in the now, right? We can live in the now. You know, Bill talked about being rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence. That's nothing out there in the celestial. There's nothing out there that I need a space shuttle for. It's right here and it's right now. And it's what happens on a daily basis. And if I can be present and experience what's happening right here, right now, that's fourth dimension. That's fourth dimension. So let me give you some more information about me and kind of qualify me as an alcoholic. And I probably qualify more as an alcoholic because of my thinking more than my drinking. Although my drinking could be epic at times, right? And I was thinking today, I was just driving here. I'm in Albany, New York. I was born and raised in Baltimore. I was born and raised in The Wire. But I've been living here in Albany, New York for quite some time, which is quite a different area than Baltimore City is. But I was driving and I saw a guy walking, and he was drinking something and he had a bag on, and it was about 10, 11 o'clock a.m. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think I ever had a drink at that hour. I don't think I ever had a drink that early in the morning, right? So I had these parameters that I set for myself that kind of let me know that I was not an alcoholic. I didn't drink every day. I wasn't stealing money out of my wife's purse like my dad was to drink, and then arguments would ensue. Um, I wasn't waking up to drink. I don't know what shakes are. I don't know what a detox is about other than going to take me. So I had all these things, right? All these things. But thankfully, I came to you guys and you all told me, you didn't give me suggestions. You told me what an alcoholic was. And you gave me the opportunity to identify myself. Also, put your seatbelt on because I go into so many different directions. A thought will pop in my head and I'll think of something and start talking about it. So just pray for me. Pray for me. So I kind of let you know about this alcoholic dad that I had, right? Um, my dad was a stone cold alcoholic from the drinking sense, from the selfishness sense, from the action sense, from the thinking sense, from the fear sense. I didn't know it until I came to y'all, right? My dad was the kind of guy he walked around with a pint of vodka in his back pocket, one under the seat of the car when he drove, and one in the seat cushion at home. Never saw that man take a drink from a cup. It was always from that bottle, straight to the head, as we say in the streets. That's how my dad drank. And so a lot of things came of that I didn't understand as a kid. So I grew up not liking my dad. We would have fights, and I'm not going to be like him. I'm going to show him. He doesn't think I know anything. He's going to, he tries to, you're never around and he's drinking and we're poor and all this stuff. And then he's going to try to miss me with that man. So I grew up really disrespecting my dad. Disrespected my dad. Now, on the other side of the house was this church-going Pentecostal Holy Ghost, got to get out to go to church and Sunday school mom. And my family is from the deep south of North Carolina. They were sharecroppers. So my mom had a strong faith in God. And she made sure me and my younger brother were a part of that. So I came to you guys with some morals. I knew right from wrong. But I couldn't fully get what they were getting in church. I couldn't get that Holy Ghost. I couldn't dance and shake around the church and speak in tongues. And I tried. And I came to you guys and you guys sat me down and had me identify that there was something in the way. And that something in the way was me. And as Uncle Ralph says, it was too much of me between me and that power. And I didn't have access to it. That power, God was there. I'm going to talk about God, so keep that seatbelt tight. It's all right. It only hurt for just as it's going down. But once it gets down into your soul and spirit, you be all right. Don't worry about it, you be all right. So I knew some things of this God, and I knew something of that big book that they used in that church. So when I came to you guys, what you were talking about was nothing strange. Nothing strange. So, listen, when I drank, I love to drink, guys. Plain and simple. I'm not gonna, bore with too many, what I was like, right? What I was like. That's some of what I was like when I was young. I grew up, I fantasized getting drunk, I fantasized drinking, I fantasized hanging out, because that's what I saw my family do. My mom was one of 14 kids, and when they all got together down in North Carolina, it was a party scene, and alcohol was in the middle of it. I saw the laughter, I heard the laughter, I saw the pats on the back, I saw the attention they got, and I wanted it. The doctor's opinion said I drank for the effect. That's your boy. I didn't drink because I was black. I didn't drink because I was fat. I didn't drink because we were poor. I didn't drink because my parents didn't tell me they loved me. I didn't drink because they didn't rub my belly and give me a warm glass of milk at night and read me bedtime stories. I drank for the effect of alcohol. I drank to get drunk. Me and my boys would say, "Are we getting nice tonight?" We didn't say, "Are we drinking?" Are we getting nice? But I didn't know what I didn't know. Didn't know what I didn't know. So I grow up, drink high school, drink college, play football, drink, get married, relationships, all these things, right? Not knowing that I am an alcoholic, right? I just knew that when I drank, I had one mission to be the drunkest person in the room. And some nights I achieved that, whether I was driving, whether my family was with me, whether I was on the grill, whether I had a football game or practice the next day. in the doctor's opinion, in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, gave me a clear example of what my disease looks like. It says you have an allergy. If I take alcohol in any form in my body, I get thirsty. What? We drink liquids to quench a thirst, not to set it on fire. If you got what I got, and it doesn't matter what shape or form it's in, it's going to light a fire. And that's what it did. And I thought maybe you guys were on to something because you talked about that allergy and then you coupled it with that mental obsession. You coupled it with the compulsion. Gotta have it. I remember that. And then you talked about a soul sickness, right? The spiritual component. And that's where you were missing me because I was a Pentecostal and I knew the books and I knew the Old Testament and Revelations and Psalms and Proverbs. I knew all those things, right? So where was my spiritual malady? Did not know what I didn't know. Did not know. By defects, I'm a liar. I'm a cheater. I'm passive aggressive. I suffer from abandonment from my dad and his alcoholism. I'm a know-it-all. I'm sarcastic. I am selfish. All those things. Now, I didn't walk through the door knowing those things, right? I came through the door and they told me to sit down and shut the F up and they'll teach me how to live. That was my greeting to Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And again, that last part, learning how to live, living in the now. Because once I put the plug in the jug, guess what I got to do? I got to do more than throw the jug away. I got to learn how to live and live in the now. How do I do that? How do I do that? I'm going to get to that on the next end. Let me tell you how I got here, because I've been talking all this yang that I didn't drink every day. I didn't wake up to drink. I wasn't this. I wasn't homeless. I had my... Why am I here? The event that got me here, and some of you may relate to this, I had a bad night, right? Anybody had a bad night? That was me. I had a bad night, right? But see, me and my alcoholism, me and my arrogance, me and my ego did not account for all the other bad nights that I had because why? I was able to brush them off my shoulders and keep it moving. I was able to cover them up and do all those things. But see, on that night, June 27th, that did not happen. And that night would appear to be a flimsy reed was really the loving hand of God, really giving me a kick in the butt and saying, listen, knucklehead, I've been trying and you've been blowing me off. I think I got one for you, right? And some of y'all heard this story. I'm not going to give you all the full details because I want to get into the living in the now. But this is part of my story. Because if you're out there and think you haven't checked all the boxes to be an alcoholic, sit back and listen to this piece, right? If you're not an everyday drinker and you haven't lost a lot of things and you're on the fence, am I an alcoholic? Sit back and listen. Sit back and listen to this. Because I'm like you. I'm one of those. I'm one of those. I worked at a high school. It's graduation night. And we have some time off before the graduation to go relax and get ourselves ready for the graduation. And because I'm a classic alcoholic, I call a young lady that I'm not living with, read between the lines, and we go have some drinks and we have some fun. And I'm able to get to that graduation, get on stage, put a cap and gown on and do the deal of the graduation. No harm, no foul, right? My role at graduation, I used to call the name of the students. And I kept that in mind. I couldn't go that far, could have a couple, get there, do the deal, and I was able to do it. And then the next year, progressive nature of this disease, same deal, same girl. I don't know if we had the same drinks, but something different happened. Y'all ever party with a vampire? I partied with a vampire that night. Because see, at some point in time, that vampire came and bit me in the neck and got me. Right? One drink went to two. That second drink begged for that third one. And the third one demanded the fourth one. And I got blacked out. And if you're like me, the show can't go on without me, right? So I've got to get to this graduation. So I'm with this young lady, and this young lady is put into a situation where she's got to either let me drive my own vehicle blacked out or take me to this graduation. I ruined the graduation because I'm a jerk and because I lived the way that I was living. We got to that graduation. She took me to that graduation. I made backstage. I put a cap and gown on and I made it to that. I made it on stage. Totally blacked out. My job that night was to call the names of the students up. I didn't know my name that night. Didn't know my name that night. Grace of God comes in. I don't get anywhere near the dais, nowhere near. The graduation goes off without a hitch, right? I'm totally clueless as to what's going on. I get home, come to the lady that I'm living with takes me home and then tells me what happens. And you can imagine what fireworks were set off with that. Not only did I show up drunk, blah, 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 I'm with another lady and chaos. So needless to say, I lose that job. So I think I got a problem. Maybe, potentially, right? Because the clock hadn't read zeros yet. I'm Teflon Don. I can leap a tall building in a single bound. But something came to me and said, hey, listen, I heard about people doing this treatment thing. I heard people going away, and I did some research and went into a place and they did what they did. And I tried to tell them, I was not chemically dependent as they labeled me as because I didn't do drugs. And I know this is CA, right? But I'm one of these guys. I was too much of a punk to do drugs, to be quite honest. But you give me some brown liquor and it's on and popping, baby. On and popping. So that's what got me here to you guys, right? And so I get to you guys, and because I'm a Pentecostal, and when people would come back to church and they would talk about their addiction or their alcoholism, they would say, baby, listen, God has taken you away from all that stuff. You no longer have to use those words. So when I came to you guys, I would not use the word alcoholic or addict. I didn't want to give those words power. Didn't want to give those words power. But see, when they sat me down and they told me to do what they did, and what they did is that they opened the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and somebody took them through that book that had gone through the book, right? I hear people talk about, I'm reading the book of Alcoholics Anonymous on my own, and I just shake my head. Because if you're like me, right? I tried 3 times before I wanted to throw the book out of the window and go to the college and say, I need a refund because I can't understand this book. But when I sat down with another man, it was like Michael Jackson saying, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Right? It really was. And that's how this thing works. Right? And most of what I'm going to talk about from the rest of this is going to come from some of that literature. The 12 and 12 and of course our big book. Right? Living in the now, right? So I came in and I sat down and I drank the Kool-Aid, and since I came in, I ain't had no slips, dips, or weekend trips. And it's only because of the grace of God. It's only because, and I got to tell you, this here vehicle Zoom, because I was struggling with the program and what I was getting here in the Albany area. And during the pandemic, this vehicle came about, and I began to hear a different message, a solution that allowed me to live in the now, right? To live in the now. Our first step, that second half, talks about unmanageability. Our first step talks about unmanageability at the end. Our second step talks about insanity. And I kind of marry those two things together, right? Because I think about people who are sober or recovered, whatever word they want to use, and they're still restless, irritable, and discontented. I hear about people who have sobriety or they have recovery or they're clean and they have suicidal thoughts. Or for some of those, unfortunately, they do take their lives. They make that decision. And that absolutely breaks my heart. Because I remember those a dark period for me before I even thought about sobriety. when I mapped out that path for me. I still remember the CVS that I was going to buy those pills from. And this was years before having sobriety. Years, right? So living in the now, the unmanageability, the insanity, right? My big book tells me that I'm going to be rocketed into the fourth dimension, that my God wants me to be happy, joyous, and free. So where does this unmanageability comes in? Although it talks about being there in the first step, where does insanity comes in? Although it's talking about in the second step, right? Anybody heard of being a part of a 12-step program and not working the steps of that 12-step program? That's where that insanity comes in. Unmanageability to this guy has nothing to do with my bills not being paid. Unmanageability has nothing to do with being homeless or having any of those material or outside things, any of those conditions. Unmanageability, insanity, knowing I can't drink because I played the tape forward, but my brain is telling me I need to take a drink. I'm restless, irritable, and discontent, and I know that a drink is going to take care of that. Let me read something from our 12 and 12. And this is page 47. It's in step 4. And it says, we thought conditions drove us to drink. And when we tried to correct these conditions and found that we couldn't, to our entire satisfaction, our drinking went out of hand and we became alcoholics. It never occurred to us that we needed to change ourselves to meet conditions, whatever they are, right? So working this 12-step program, am I changing who I am to meet the conditions, or am I trying to change the conditions? You know, old Silky, back in the doctor's opinion, if you bear with me, I didn't have that one ready yet. Back in the doctor's opinion said, this is repeated over and over. Unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there's very little hope of his recovery. And that's the section where Dr. Silkwood was talking about somebody goes out and drinks, they become remorseful, making a strong resolution not to drink again, but then eventually drinks. And as a doctor says, that there is very little hope of his recovery unless he has an entire psychic change. What's a psychic change? Very simple. Change of thought, change in actions. A change in thought and a change in actions to help me meet the conditions of today, living in the now. Living in the now. Right? So how do I get to be living in the now? And I use this thing that's just before that reading that I read. Let's start here. To them, their alcoholic lives seem the only normal ones. They are restless, irritable, and discontent unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort, which comes at once by taking a few drinks. Right? So for me, living in the now is really an exercise of not being restless, not being irritable, and not being discontented. I can't not do those things all the time. Some things are going to happen. There are some conditions that will make me kind of feel some of those things. But now I've got some tools living in the now. I've gone through the 12 steps. I've had a spiritual experience. And now I've got some things that I now use that's in my tool chest to help me not be restless, not be irritable, and not be discontented. Because see, when you're a guy like me, you get restless, irritable, and discontented. And I don't know what your ease and comfort is, but my ease and comfort is brown liquor and a skirt. So I have to live diligently not to be restless, not to be irritable, and not to be discontented. How do I do that? I do that by living these steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's one other thing that I wanted to read, so bear with me just a second here. And I think it's on page 88. Yes, and I'm in a 10 step now on page 88. And I think this was a part of a daily reflection earlier. It says, then come, let me say, um, as we work the first 9 steps, we prepare ourselves for the adventure of a new life, rocket into the 4th dimension. But when we approach step 10, we commence to put our AA way of living to practical use, day by day in fair weather or foul conditions. Then comes the acid test. Can we stay sober, keep it emotional, and live good, emotional balance, and live to good purpose under all conditions? A demonstration of this program is living good in on all conditions, right? The big book talks about, we are to be attractive. How am I going to be attractive? If I can handle things under all conditions, not perfectly, right? We like to say, progress, not perfection. But there's a word that's missing in that. It's spiritual progress. Spiritual progress. What's this spiritual thing that I'm talking about? Living in the now. Living in the now. It's just following the principles within and what we have in Alcoholics Anonymous. It is very simple, right? I take a 4th step. What is that 4th step doing? The 4th step is showing me who I am. The 4th step is showing me how in the now I'm living such a horrible life, although the conditions around me are looking good, right? Remember, I told you I'm out drinking with a young lady I'm not living with. The lady I'm living with is in the audience waiting for me to show up. That's how this guy is living. That's how I'm showing up in life. The 4th step shows me those things. How I'm showing up in life, how I'm living in the now. I do a 5th step. I wrote these things down. Now I'm sharing with another person. Remember, the 5th step says, admitting God, myself, and to another individual. The nature. Not each and every wrong, but the nature. What's my nature? Self-centered, selfish, sarcastic, passive aggressive. That's my nature. And I point all these things out. So I've got all these things, sponsor. How do I live in the now? Are you ready to turn these things over to God? 6th step. Very simple, right? A lot of times we struggle with 6 and 7. You're a knucklehead. Do you no longer want to be a knucklehead? Ask your higher power to help you not be a knucklehead. Simple. Listen, I played American football, y'all, and I played nose guard. I got the smallest distance between me and that ball, me and the quarterback, me and a running back. I've got very few options. I can go through that dude in front of me, or I can go to his left, or I can go to his right. You're a knucklehead. I no longer want to be a knucklehead. God, keep me from being a knucklehead in the day. And it has to be a daily thing. How do I do that? Right? How do I do that? I continue to work this process. Right? And it starts by looking at those people I've done wrong. They may be on my 4th step. They may not be on my 4th step. And become willing. All I got to do is willing. Be willing. If I'm willing, some things are going to happen. Doesn't mean I'm going to go do them, but I'm going to be willing. That willingness is so key to the work that we do in these programs, y'all. We don't have to execute. Just be willing to execute. Our higher power will take care of the rest. I'm a knucklehead. How do I stop being a knucklehead? It's my nature. I can't stop being a knucklehead. God, I offer myself to thee. Do something with me. right? And we say that 7-step prayer, which is and some folks say it's a continuation of the 3rd-step prayer. And then we keep one foot in front of the other and we keep doing the deal, living in the now, living in the now. One of the reasons why living in the now is so important to me, from what I've experienced, and now I'm going to do some God talking. My higher power is found in the now, right here, right now, right? How present can I be? How much can I turn over to my higher power so that I can experience the day? That's all we got, right? I'm anxious because I'm concerned about all the stuff I've got to do tomorrow, next week, and I'm near retirement, and the kids need to go to the grandkids need to go to college now. Yeah, I got grandkids in college. The kids are fighting. Are they going to get a divorce? The government shut down. Am I going to have a job? What is my retirement going to look like? We are taught we are taught and brought along to live in the now, right now. I experience my God right now. Doesn't mean I don't plan. How do I do that? How do I do that? I believe our 11th step, 10th and 11th step helps us to do that. The 10th step helps me to clear the channel, right? I look at my sobriety as a channel clearing process, clearing the channel. Remember what I said? I was up under that Holiness Pentecostal church and I couldn't get what those people were getting. The reason why I couldn't get it because I was blocked. My access to the power was blocked. I start this process of a step 4 and I start to get unblocked. The channel starts to get to clear up. And the sunlight of the Spirit begins to come in. And I get to see who I am. I get to see how I was living. I got a sponsor that says, hey, take the baseball bat out your hand, knucklehead, and put a feather in your hand. Take it easy on yourself. That's how you used to live. Your now will be different. Between you and your higher power, your now will be different. That rocket that you're going to get to the 4th dimension in, you have a way to access that. Just keep doing it. Keep doing the next right thing. And things begin to happen, right? I take a look at this 4th step. I take a look at all the wrongs that I've done, and I'm locked in the past, right? I've got classmates who have retired. They got retirement homes. They're traveling the world. They've got all these things. Right? And what am I doing? I'm still grinding. I'm trying to start a business. Retirement's not in the focus. Why didn't I? I should have did this. I should have stayed on this job. I should have kept. No, my higher power ain't there. My higher power says, hey, knucklehead. Hey, pea brain. Look at your feet. Where are your feet at right now? Can you look at your feet right now? Listen, guys, I do some security work on the side. And Garth Brooks was in town. And if you know anything about Garth Brooks, he doesn't come to town for one night. He comes for 3 nights. And everybody in town is there and people are traveling. And it's packed. And I'm looking around saying, and this is my early days of sobriety, right? Lost a job, career job, right? And I'm doing this gig or just to bring some money in. And I'm looking around, I'm seeing all my friends, I'm seeing these people, I'm feeling bad and feeling sorry for myself. And here's what I heard from you guys. Look at your feet. Keep your head where your feet are. Where are your feet? That's where you're at right now. Make it the best right now. The steps of Alcoholics Anonymous helps me to make the best right now. That's all I got. That's where God shows up right now. This channel clearing process does what? It gets me to sit still. If I'm thinking about tomorrow, I'm not sitting still right here, right now. If I'm beating myself up over the past, I'm not sitting still right here, right now. Meditation and prayer, right here, right now. Am I able to do it? The steps of Alcoholics Anonymous clears the channel and it allows me to be present. And it allows me to be right here, right now. How do I get gratitude? Living in the now. If I'm in tomorrow, I'm not living in the now and I ain't got no gratitude. If I'm living in the past, I'm not living in the now. I ain't got no gratitude. Because I'm thinking about all the missed opportunities. Or I'm fearful about what's going to happen. But when I can sit down, clear the channel, right? 4-step clears the channel. I'm not worried about what I've done in my past because I've looked at it, I've addressed it, I've talked it over with another person, I've talked over with my sponsor. I'm ready to have these knucklehead behaviors taken away from me. So I've gone to God. I'm saying, hey, do something with me. Make it happen. And I become aware. And as I become aware, I'm able to live in the present. That's where my higher power comes in, right? And for folks that have heard me as I'm about to land the plane here, this God that I've been talking about, I came in here with a full knowledge and understanding of what God was. And I started talking and listening to you crazy folks. I can't tell you what God is. I don't know if it's a he, if it's a her, if it's a them, if it's a that. If I can't tell you, all I can tell you is when I experience my God. And when I'm able to clear the channel, to live in the now, and be at peace because I've kind of done the work. Doesn't mean those conditions around me are all settled. My daughter ain't talking to me because I said she needs some help. Right? I done lost a job because the government shut down or what have you and all these things. Granddaughter ain't making any grades because she's partying in college. Just wants to play basketball. Right here, right now. Right? We've all experienced the win, if I'm not mistaken, right? If you spent any time outside at some point in time, you've experienced the win. Has anybody actually seen the win? Right? Does the win have any physical characteristics? But we can all see the effects of the win. We can feel the effects of the wind. Right? That's how I look at my higher power. And when I do the work, I live the principles of this program, of our 12-step programs. Guess what I get to do? As the 5th step promises say, I get to sit at perfect peace and ease. And I get to experience my higher power. I get to be in the now. You know, one of the best things to do, and one of the best times I'm living in the now, is when I hear these magical, magical words. Rarely have we seen a person fail that has thoroughly followed our path. I don't know what it is, but when I can get present and I can hear somebody read that, something magical happens. And also, our book is suggestive only. I don't know what it is about those 2 passages. Just puts me at peace and ease. I get to slow down. I don't worry about the future. I don't worry about the past. I worry about where I'm at right now. And usually when I hear those words, I'm in the room of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm present. Can be a complicated thing, but it's very simple, right? Whatever your prayer life may be, just continue to do it. Whatever your meditation life may be, continue to do it. If you don't have either of those, I would suggest you do it. And do it in small increments until you can build it up. Because living in the now has to do with those 2 principles, prayer and meditation, step 11. Being able to be at ease, being able to be at peace, and to experience the now, whatever your now is. At various times, just stop everything you're doing and just be in the now. And use some of your other senses other than your sight. Hear, feel, smell, just be in the now. And that's the thing that I'm chasing, right? In the big book, it says, and how it works, it says, God couldn't what if he was sought. I'm on a seeking mission. I'm on a seeking mission to be present every day by using the principles of our programs. That's what they're there for. Page 45, the big book says the sole purpose of the book is so that I could find that higher power, and that higher power would solve my problem. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. The problem can't fix the problem. That's what you guys told me. I'm going to give you 15 seconds back, young. My name is Rodney. I'm a grateful arrested alcoholic, and I will stay.
Alcoholic. Rodney, thank you very much for your share. It was absolutely fantastic. Question I had was you spoke about being right here, right now a lot. And what does your meditation and prayer sort of look like for you to keep it right here, right now during your meditation? Because I find that sometimes I could drift off a little bit and then I try to bring it back with breath and stuff. But I wanted to hear what your experience is like keeping it right here, right now.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your question, Dave. I wish I had a sophisticated answer for you, but my prayer and my meditation life is all over the place. But here's something that I often suggest to people. Remember, in the back of the book, in the appendix 2, the spiritual experience, it talks about that willingness, that openness and honesty, right? That willingness piece. The fact that you're willing and you're trying, and it becomes a practice, right? Prayer and meditation is a practice that I have yet to master, especially the meditation piece, because like you said, it's all over the place. And part of that for me with the meditation is, what am I missing by sitting here and just meditating? But I have to take it in small chunks, right? Have to take it in small chunks. And I'll be honest with you, I don't do a lot of prayer kneeling down. I pray throughout the day. I have a conversation. Years ago, when I was a kid, in the religion that I grew up in, we would repeat these things for God or higher power. We would say, Lord this and God that and Father this. And somebody said, hey, listen, if you're talking to your dad, do you say, Dad, 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 or do you just have a conversation? And I suggest to people, don't make it formal. Act like you and your higher power at sitting at Starbucks or having a burger and you're just having a chat. Listen, homie, I'm tired of this lady that I'm living with. She is up my grill all the time. What do I need to do? Give me some help. Or, higher power, I just want to thank you for this day. I don't know what this day holds, but I'm going to turn it over to you, because I know what happens if I do it. So it's just a matter of chunking it, real small chunks, and then it gets bigger, but being willing to do it. I believe it's in the willingness. Thanks for your question.
Thanks, Dave, for your question. Next up, Danny, come on in.
Thanks, Ella. Hi, guys. My name's Danny. I'm an addict. And Rodney, thank you so much. I loved it. Really, really loved it. My question for you is, what was your first experience of being in the now as you went through the process of recovery? Because, when I first came in, my head was very noisy, and it took a lot of inventory, a lot of work to get into the now, and it still can't today. So yeah, thanks very much.
Getting in the now and the awareness began in step 4. I breezed past step 1 because I didn't believe I was powerless because I could lift 500 pounds. I wasn't homeless and I didn't have all those other things, so manageability didn't factor in. I was God-fearing, so, anything about believing that God, I'd already had that checked off. And the same thing with 3. I ran into the 4th step and I began to see me, right? When I began to see myself, I began to be present for my experience. Before that, I was playing the shell game, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, all these things I was doing, right? All these things I was doing. When that guy sat me down and we began to write and we began to pray and we began to do these things, I began to get present. And then my present, as it says, we have to enlarge our tents, right? Step 11 talks about what we've got to do. We've got to grow. As I continue to grow, it becomes a little bit more easier to be present. When everything's going on around me, the conditions, right? We try to change ourselves to meet the condition, as the 12 and 12 says. Excuse me, we tried to change the conditions, right? I'm playing God. I'm playing a director. But when I can work on myself and I'm aware of who I am, I began to be present. I began to feel a purpose. I began to walk in that purpose. For me, I'm just talking about me, and anybody knows me knows how I feel about the 4th step and the magical transformative powers and the willingness that comes about in that 4th step, right? If I don't know me, I can't be present because I'm trying to hide from who I am, right? And for me, that's where the power is. Doing that stuff, getting to know myself. And that means I got to continue to do it. Right? As we said, we don't graduate from these programs. I continue to live it. That's why the book and the literature always becomes different as we go in it, because we continue to change, we continue to grow, and we continue to develop.
Thanks, Rodney, for your answer, and thanks, Danny, for the question. Next up, Young, come on in.
Thank you, Ella. Hi, everyone. My name's Young, recovered addict. Rodney, thank you so much. Really good to hear you. Quick question. You talked about spiritual progress, not spiritual perfection. How did spiritual progress look as a newcomer, and how does it look today? Thank you.
Well, for me, I had to get rid of some old ideas, Young. I had some ideas, man, because y'all were doing it all wrong. First of all, why are you going to use 2 words when God's a 3-letter word? Let's be efficient here, right? I didn't know what I didn't know in love and tolerance. So I had to get rid of old ideas. There were so many old ideas that I had. A lot of y'all have heard the set aside prayer, lay aside prayer. That is probably my favorite prayer, aside from the second half of the serenity prayer. Because the set aside prayer says, help me set aside, and I just say everything I think I know. Because I want my cup to be empty so it can be filled, right? Before that, I came to you guys filled because I knew everything. But again, I go back to that 4th step and I begin to empty out. And I let you all fill it. You teach me how to fill it. So early on, it was a lot of just shutting my mouth and just listening and being in amazement and watching what this thing does, what we do, just by telling our stories. What we were like, what happened, and what we are like now. And now it's the seeking process, right? Because I've had the experience, right? Right? You know, having a spiritual experience. I've had a spiritual experience where I've been moved to tears. And I had an experience one time in a meeting where I had to get up, I had to walk around because the presence was so powerful. And people were looking at me, what's going on? And I couldn't explain it. So I'm chasing that thing now. I'm trying to keep the channel clear so the sunlight of the spirit can continue to come in. So I can continue to experience that. And then pass it on. And then pass it on. And in some instances, it's a wash, rinse, repeat process. And in some instances, I got to call sponsor up. Hey, sponsor, you got to help me out with this. What does this mean? Right? And I'm now reading Sermon on the Mount. I tried to read it when I was early in sobriety and I couldn't read it. And now me and my sponsor are reading it in OMG. Because of the time period that book was written, way back when. And to see, just like the big book, this guy, I know it's Emmett Fox. Where did he get this stuff back then? So I'm having more spiritual experiences as I go along. And a spiritual experience can happen just by sitting still, taking things in. So it's more of desiring it now, Young, because I've had that experience as opposed kind of sitting around and let's see what's going to happen. I hope that answered your question.
Amazing. Thanks very much, Young, for your question. Next up, can we have Bill, please? Thank you.
Rodney, you know I'm not requiring much information from you, my good man. I was thinking of something. Do you think maybe, just maybe, we couldn't buy into that evangelical movement because we weren't supposed to? You described your mom's side being evangelical and your dad's side being an alcoholic, and look which one led you to the power. And number two, that's one question. Number two, the way you described, like with the government shutdown and what's going on, if I just stay in the now, can you imagine what it would have been like 100 years ago, 90 years ago, when we were in a Great Depression, Rodney? How would they know to trust God with everything when they didn't have a government to shut down? We didn't even, you know what I'm saying? We are living in a privileged time, my friend. Do we realize that? Oh my God, good to see you, brother. I love you.
Thank you, Bill. You know, that's probably a little too deep for me, because I'm trying to just be in the now, right? I can try to go back and say, well, maybe this is why, maybe this is why. To me, Bill, it doesn't matter because I'm living in the now. Right here and right now is what I get to experience. And I do think about those things a lot. I do, that I'm living in a time such as this, right? What's happening here in our country, just our country alone, right? And now we have more access to what's happening around the world, like in real time, right? In real time. But because I've got these principles, I'm able to disseminate what it is I need to focus on, what I need to bring to my higher power, and how my feet should move, and how my feet should move. You know, my household is directly being affected by what's happening with our government here. And I've got somebody that I'm living with that's not in the same spiritual space that I'm in. And because I've got a peace and an ease because of the connection, right? Because of that connection, that vertical connection I've got, it comes off as though I don't know. I mean, that I don't care, excuse me. And I have to be cognizant of that because I've learned love and tolerance in here, right? Everybody doesn't have what we have, and we can't make them get it. Like they couldn't make us get it. Why couldn't I get it when I was in church back then? I've cleared the channel. I can get it now. I wasn't hearing this stuff. I had to come to Alcoholics Anonymous to hear it. So I hope that helped you out there, Swanee. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate your friendship.
Thanks, Bill, for your question. Just to let everyone know, we've just reduced the question time down to 1.5 minutes, just so we can fit everyone in. Next up, we've got Pamela. Thank you.
Hello, hey, I'm Pamela, and I'm an alcoholic, and it's always my pleasure to be in a room filled with the solution. And Rodney, oh my goodness, you got me late for work, getting ready. One of the things that the privileges I get to have is I have spiritual brothers. My question for you is, what have you done since January? I saw you and Rox in Boston in January. Your whole countenance. See, I can come on here and quote the book and ask profound, all this. I see you. I get to see how your feet move. I get to see how you do things. And there's something about you that's different. Is your prayer life different? Is whatever, there is something that, and your share is very different. I've heard you share quite a few times. And there's a level of honesty. There's a level of transparency. Did your prayer life change? Is it this sitting down change? Did Roxy finally beat you with a frying pan? I mean, what's different now? And what did you do? Tell her I said hi, by the way, and you did an amazing job. Thank you for allowing me to share.
I certainly will. I have sat down. I stopped trying to be everything to everybody at all times. I've really slowed down a bit and just tried to be in the present. Just tried to be in the present. I don't think I've changed much in the prayer life. I've done a little bit more reading. My sponsor has got me reading, but more importantly, he's got me writing. I don't like reading. I don't like writing. And he talks about how something visceral happens when we write. And because of the age that we live in now, we don't actually pick up a pen and write. But there's some type of transference that happens, and I'm not that smart, not that deep. to have those things happen, but he's got me reading and he's got me writing. He's got me writing out my prayers, right? He's got me writing out prayers. And I'm just chasing this thing, and I know we grow. I know we change, and we don't often see it. And the big book says that. The big book says it. The big book says it. So I can't pinpoint anything. I know I have slowed down, and I stopped trying to be all things to all people. I think I left that phone booth somewhere, and I don't have that S on my chest no more. So maybe that's it. Thank you. Good to see you, sis.
Thanks, Pamela, for your question. Next up, we've got Pierce, please. Come on in.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Pierce. I'm an alcoholic, and thanks, Ronnie. Nice listening to you. I like listening to you. I like the way you brought the program back to living. You know, I love that. You know, that's what it is. I like giving useful information. The two questions I have, Ronnie, I'm not trying to embarrass you now or anything. I find it difficult to get questions answered, and it's beneficial for people. You know what I mean? That start out their journey. When you said there about, and I love the way you spoke about your upbringing with religion and stuff like that. I love that. And then your upbringing. When you mention it, sometimes fasten your seatbelt about the God thing. Do you know what I mean? When Bill didn't mention God until step 3 because he knew it would frighten people, would it not be better for you to go that way about it, not trying to control how you feel, instead of just saying the HP? Because I'm around hundreds of years, hundreds. And they just say the HP, right? So it's a connection. And the second one is when you were shaking your head over someone with the book, it's not possible to bring anyone through a book, as we know. You can only study a book with someone, and if they can get over it, but you can get over it, you're on a winner. But why are we talking about the big book today when the big book was for people that could not get to meetings and they got it in the mail? The stories in the back, it's just an alcoholic like me and you. The 164 is the program. The rest is not gospel. The doctor's opinion's only an opinion. And a lot of them were very unsuccessful. They went back to drink. So why are we going that direction?
Well, let me get to your second question. I think about that often. If I was back in the day and I got this book by myself, would I be able to do what we now do with it? And I believe higher power was there. And I believe the higher power was working people along with that. And back then it was a different take on religion. I think today's society is a lot different than it was back then, and the talk of religion and God was a lot different. So that's just my guess. That's just my guess. Now, if God had been brought into the formation for me early on, it would have been okay. Because I'll let you know the secret. One of the reasons I stayed here is because of that. For me, that was not a deterrent. Because what you all was talking about, I had already heard. There's nothing new under the sun. That's in the big book, right? And everything you guys were talking about, I was like, y'all are cheating. You guys are plagiarizing. Because I had heard a lot of these things just in a different way. And here's the magic sauce. Step 4, cleared me out of the way, married you two together, and I'm here. And that's really what happened. The God talk was the attractive feature of what we were doing. Now, I was a little skeptical of you heathens because you were cussing in the church and you were smoking on the church grounds. But love and tolerance helped me to take that stuff away and see what God and look for God's hand and see God's hand. So I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Piers, for your question. Chris, come on in. Can't hear you, Chris. Not sure why.
Try to unmute again, Chris.
Still can't hear you, Chris, for some reason. Should we move on to the next question and see if we can figure it out? Sorry. Abigail, come on in. Thank you.
Hello. I just wanted, it's not so much of a question, but I just wanted to say it was a really powerful chair. I really like the way that you delivered it, Rodney. And what I liked most about what you said, I'm currently reading through the big book now, and part of my homework was to highlight what stands out to me. But I
Hmm.
couldn't highlight the psychic change bit because I didn't understand it. But I really liked how you put it today, like change of thought, change of action. And it's early days for me. I'm 52 days sober today. But what I think sometimes I still get thoughts of like, oh, maybe you can have a cheeky one because, it'll be nice. But I really liked what you said about the unmatchability because you reminded me of when I just the life that I was living and when I had my job, like doing like 24-hour shifts, basically not sleeping and going to work and just hanging on by thread. And then when you said about that graduation ceremony, the last one that you done, when you literally just got there, but you was blacked out, it just reminded me of when I was having a bender for like 4 days. I had a really important job interview where I was going to progress into my next role. And I just about made it to the job interview, but I wasn't actually there. So it's really important for me to remember just how unmanageable that life was. And I just really wanted to say I really enjoyed your chair and thank you for sharing.
Thank you for being here. And check this out. You just heard me talk all that yang, right? You just heard me say all those things. The thought of taking a drink still looks good to me. Did you hear what I said? The thought of taking a drink still looks good. So this little pea brain, just like you said, guess what it says? It wasn't that bad. You didn't drink every day. You didn't lose this. Yeah, you lost your job and career, but look at you now. Now you know you can only take a couple. Now you know you can't. Sucker drinks is what it's trying to get me to do. It's what it's trying to get me to do. Now, I don't stay away from things as long as my motivation for being at these places are still legit. And it's not to watch people drink and fantasize of what my drinking would be like. One of the reasons why I keep coming back, y'all, is because I still have this brain. My brain tells me you are the carpet slipper guy. We're going to hold on to you. We're going to wait. And then once you get old enough, we're going to jump on your behind and you will be drinking again. That's what my brain tells me. I am the carpet slipper guy. But I listen to what you guys say. Stay in the day. Stay present. Look down at my feet. That's where I'm at right now. The chance of me taking a drink tonight are very, very good. Nice chance for tomorrow. After that, it's a crapshoot. And that's all I worry about. I don't worry about that down the road. I do what I can do right now, living the day. Living right now is that I'm presenting my story, talking about living in the day. I'll let tomorrow take care of itself. That's it. Thanks for being here. Keep moving one day at a time, young lady.